Hey guys, it's coffee time. Two great things and one sad thing about this evening. First great thing is that I just got done with a very long conversation with Cinnamon Toast Ken discussing whether or not having more estrogen in your body would make your nipples tickle more. Second great thing is that my Save Will Graham shirt came in the mail and I totally put a rush on it so that it would get here by the time the finale started, and I have no shame about that. I regret absolutely nothing. Although I will be taking this off the second this video is over so that it is not sullied before I wear it for a reason, i.e. the finale tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I'm sad that I didn't buy one for Jeannie. I wasn't thinking straight. I was just so focused on my own needs. I didn't even think about Jeannie's needs. And that's a sign of a terrible friend. Should have just bought her one. But I can't take it back now. Here's the negative, awful thing about tonight is that we are not currently playing D&D, and I find that so sad. This is what happens when you're an adult, guys. You try to get a group of people together, and then one person, one or more people, wind up being like, oh, I have an adult thing to do. And then everybody else just cries. So sad. We were all so excited about this game. But it's okay, because this gives me more time to think about my character. I didn't come up with a name for my character. I'm not entirely tied to having a name or not. But, I mean, obviously I'll have a name. But I'm saying sometimes people feel very strongly about what the name of their character should be, and I've definitely had characters like that where I was like, no, I know what name you should have. But for this character, I don't entirely care too much what the name is, because, okay, let me tell you about this character, because I love him, and I'm so excited to play him. So, Lou, a while back, and I remember telling you guys this, Lou had us fill out surveys for characters. They were very basic. It was like, what race would you like to be? What class would you like to be? What sort of focus would you like to have and in terms of how you would utilize your class? And what would be one word to describe your background? That was kind of essentially what the survey was. And then from there, he would piece together a character for you. So in this way, you're involved in the character making process, but he's the one who's setting up your character sheet for you, and that way nobody has to come to the actual D&D session and be like, oh, I never did that, right? A lot of DMs have been doing that more lately, especially with 4.0. I think it's a bit easier to do that. But anyway, so I filled out my survey and said that I wanted to be a healing-focused cleric who had a background as a thug, and that I wanted to be a human. And he said, all right, and gave me that character. We all had to fill out the survey twice, and then he chose the one that he thought would fit into the world the best, and so he chose that one, which I was very excited about. And when putting together my skills, one of the things that I wound up with was basically a world renown. So, in fact, it means that the things that I did as a thug and a gang leader were so awful that everyone knows me, but not as a cleric. They all know me as this vicious, awful person. But I've made a change in my life. I've decided to be a cleric and to do goodwill and good works and help people and heal people and etc., 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 right? And I just love the idea of that character because I like imagining scenarios that I know will happen during the game, like someone giving us food for free because they're terrified of me, and I'm just like, oh, Pelor provides. What wonderful food. Thank you. Just like so happy, like, oh, look at all this. But there are some things that I have yet to fully consider and think about, and so I'm going to use, since we have extra time now, I'm going to use this time to think about these extra things, like I have to come up with a name. He's a southerner human, which means that he's not nobility. He was like kind of more farmer type. So I need to think of a name for him, but it won't be a highborn name at all, right? So in that way, one of the reasons that I don't care as much about his name is because I figure that there was some sort of an inciting incident, right? There was some reason that I went from just being this awful person to deciding to completely change my life. I'm assuming it was a life-threatening event. There was a moment in my life when I thought I was going to die, and I felt that it was a miracle that I was able to live through a scenario, and I decided to change my life. That's the scene. So there's a high probability that, knowing myself, I rejected my old name and chose a new name, but people still know me by my old name. So there's a possibility that I have a more low-born southern name, but maybe when I went into, because everybody who's involved in this game is part of an academy, and so we've all come back to this academy for some sort of a reason, and we're meeting each other. And so, meeting each other again. We all know of each other, but we're running into each other is a better way to put it. So, at that point, I'm assuming is when the actual game will start. But the name that I went into the academy with was probably a higher born sounding name, right? Because I was like, no, I'm going to recreate myself. I'm going to become a different person. But there's still that awful person, like, in there that I'm just suppressing, which is so, like, I can't wait to play this character. I think that it's going to be so funny because you have to consider things ahead of time, but, you know, be honest to the character. But you have to consider things ahead of time, like, what are his triggers? What are the sorts of things that would make that old self pop up from behind the mask, right? And, like, is he actually a good person? Does he have the way that he presents himself when talking to people? Is that honest at all? Or is it all a mask, right? I love that sort of stuff. So I need to be thinking about that stuff more, but I have to come up with a name. Everybody, for the most part, I think has had, like, kind of funny names. Like, Jeannie basically filled out the survey so that she could be Hodor. She wants to be Hodor from Game of Thrones. Another friend of mine wants to be Gandalf, but he named it, what was it? It was like Gandalf, but just a little bit different because he's he's a wizard or a sorcerer, I think maybe a wizard, who is so old now that he's forgot all of his spells. I just love, I love it. I think that this game is going to be really funny. So I'm excited for us to play it. But I need to kind of delve into my character a little bit more. And I'm trying to decide whether or not, like, in terms of what he looks like. Wait, was I sent a character sheet? What is my charisma? I normally base how hot my character is on charisma, even though that doesn't necessarily, even though you can have high charisma without looking good, like in real life, right? Charisma 13. So I have a modifier on it, but it's not like a high modifier. Wisdom and strength are my number ones. And then, oh wait, no. Yeah, wisdom and strength are at 16, so that's a +3 modifier, and then constitution is at 14, and then charisma is 13. And intelligence is -1. The modifier is -1, not the actual number. But, okay. So I'm like a decent looking dude, you know? Maybe. No, I always have androgynous characters, never mind. I was gonna say maybe he's like has very feminine features, but no, I do that a lot. My very first character, Tack, that I've told you about, because Tack was a changeling, I made it very clear to everybody that the features are so smoky that nobody could tell if it was a boy or a girl. And like, he was just very, very androgynous. I love playing characters like that because I just think it's so funny to have characters where people are like, are you what's going on with you? Like, it's just so fun. And I can't do that though. I can't do that again. I do that too often. Need to just hold it back. Hold it back. What other questions did he have for me? Well, what were your questions for me? As a human, are you a northerner or a southerner? Southerner, we picked that. What is your name? You need to figure that out. What made you see the light? What was your transformation moment? We've also discussed. I had a brush with death. Yeah. But what was the brush? I have to become more specific now. Since I have the time, I need to become more specific. What are you like now and how much of the old you is left, which we kind of discussed as well. Like how much of that wickedness is still inside of me being repressed. I think there's still a lot of it there, you know? I think that I'm trying to think of a character that's a lot like that. There are lots of anime characters, lots of female anime characters that have that sort of duplicitous personality where it's like they're very nice and then you see their thoughts and in their thoughts they're just like raging really hard, like just hate everybody. Like I feel like that's kind of the character. What are your goals? That is a good question. What are your goals in life? Do you want to become a high priest to crusade against evil or to start a small country temple? What are your goals? What are my goals? Like before everything that happens, that's going to happen in the game, what are my goals going to be? I don't know. To break it all down from the inside. Just like, I'm actually just an evil character, is what this is all going back toward. It's like, I'm evil, I decided to change my life, but I'm still just evil. Oh no. That's probably how the character is going to wind up being. If you guys have ideas for names, though, you should give them to me. Wait, what did he write here? He said, Northerners tend to have names like Wallace Genevy or Millicent Broche, because remember, they're like nobles. Southerners have names like June or Ched. If you've got a name in mind, I can help you modify. All right. Well, if you guys have ideas for names, leave them in the comment section, and I'll look through them and see if there's one that I like. But remember, think of the idea of having like an old name, or maybe like a thug name, right? Like a name that was given to me, and then a name that I have chosen for myself in my new life. I've become a new person. Yes, love it. But I'm sad that I'm not playing D&D, but I'm glad that I could literally explain to you everything that I'm thinking about my character. So I hope you enjoyed that. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Mwah!